right, everybody. Welcome to the Roundtable segment. Looks like we're gonna be starting up early. Let me bring on Michael. Hi, Michael. How are you doing today?
Doing fine. Can you hear me clear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, great.
welcome. What's
So,
going on? How's everything going with you?
going great, and it's been an amazing 3 days. So, yeah. You see the
Yeah,
way I'm dressed up for, like, yeah, let's show some tie.
yeah. Looks like you're going for interview today, but anyway, we appreciate all your work.
Yeah, I'm going to interview the panelists. So,
So yeah, it's gonna be great.
so
Yeah.
it's a flip of the role. I'm the one dressing up for the. Yeah.
So, are we ready to bring them up?
Sure, yes, yes.
Sure.
I
Okay.
know you should be seeing them at your hand.
Yes, yes. Let's see. Promise.
Hmm. Hi, Promise.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Bing. How you guys doing?
Hey, how you doing? I'm great. How are you?
Doing
Hi,
great.
Jake.
You're doing great.
And the boss is in the house.
Hallelujah.
Yeah,
Hello.
it's a full,
Wow.
it's
Hello,
a
Hi
full
guys.
everybody.
house.
Hi
Yeah,
David. Hi everyone.
yeah.
All right, all right. So
Hi.
Michael is here to take over. So you guys have some fun. We're ready to learn. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great, great. And so to everyone, to especially the audience, to wherever you're joining from, those joining from the watch party, those joining directly from their devices, welcome to this roundtable session. And to our amazing panelists, thank you for honoring our invitation. And these are probably the most, let me not use the wrong word, the busiest people, maybe currently, you know, uh, and for them to make time to be here. So I'm very grateful for your honoring us. And so, without taking any extra minutes and seconds, the session is on the roundtable conversation is much more on us getting from you all what you think to be the most innovative and productive way you've seen companies use Microsoft cloud services, so that others also can take some learnings from these. So I don't know who want to go first. So maybe just to mention, since our session is 30 minutes, uh, we might not be able to go around multiple times, but
Mhm.
please, if you can put a lot in your first talk, it would be nice. So that way we get all what you want to share with us. So who should I call up first?
I
Anyone
don't
can go.
mind. I
Okay,
don't
great,
mind.
great.
Yeah. My thoughts exactly on this is Microsoft has been able to create a platform where you know they bring out multiple solutions to ease and help businesses make progress. Right. My
Okay.
background using Microsoft services has always been on the infrastructure end. I mean, now you really don't have to, you know, power on so much servers in your offices. You really don't have to buy those huge servers you used to see before. Very expensive. Now, with just the click of a button on the Azure portal, you can deploy a server that is probably going to take care of so much functions in your organization. And the beautiful thing about this is, I mean, I don't have to pay that bulk sum at once. There's a service, the pay as you go service, that you can subscribe to, let's say a very high cost server, and then with just some little fee, you make use of this service as the time goes on. Not to talk of the serverless function. Okay, for instance, you don't want to really make use of your server every time. You just want, maybe at 4 a.m. every day, you want to do a cleanup job or a maintenance job. With the serverless function on Azure, you can just program or schedule that service to run 4 a.m. every day. What this means is there will be no compute server running until 4 a.m. in the morning. A server will automatically be deployed that will carry out that function you want to do. So I mean, you get to reduce costs. You don't have to bother with compute power. Everything works smoothly for you. So these are some of the things I see companies using now that is helping them create or give a high turnover in their profit at the end of the year because they don't need to invest so much in the infrastructures they are using for their businesses. So
Wow.
that's my take on this.
Okay, so that's a very nice one, and it's all about how we're able to companies are automating things that before they need to have a lot of people maybe running shifts on. So that's cool.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
at the admin at the back end, do you can you check if it's just me, but it seems like we're having echoes. Is there something?
Yeah, I think what would happen is those guys, maybe we should mute when one person is talking so we don't get the feedback echoes. Yeah,
Uh, Let me
that's
try.
that's
Oh,
excellent. That's
I think
excellent.
it's gone off. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
great, great. So that so who is going up? Let me call my boss, David Brown. So I would like to also hear from you
Can you hear me
clearly, clearly.
clearly? Okay. Sorry. See, some people say bosses when we know they're bosses. So everybody, everybody is a boss here too. And I think we're living in a very, very interesting time. We're living in an interesting time, and Africa has a time to shine. Really, if you think about innovation, I always like to say that our banking sector is one of the most advanced in the world, and really for everyone listening from everywhere in the world, it is one of the most advanced in the world. Go check it out. And the reason for that is cloud. We came to cloud faster than nearly every other country, really. So our banking system, I want to transfer to anybody, I can see exactly what the name of the person I'm
Yeah.
transferring to is because all the banks talk to all the other banks and every single account from every single bank is fed into a system and in seconds I know precisely who I'm paying to. I give you an example. In the UK, a couple of like a year ago, I wanted to do a transfer, a simple transfer within the bank. And then I asked before the transfer was done, I said, please, what's the name of the account I'm transferring to? And the lady was like, she doesn't know. Like, no, no, just check your screen. That's what I was saying. Check your screen. She said, no, no, she does, can't know.
Whoa.
I was shocked, one, because of course, coming from Nigeria, where we're really using the cloud properly. So I now asked, okay, can I check the account number again? And I made an error. So I would have
Wow.
transferred money to
To the wrong
somebody.
someone.
Nobody will know anything about it. Probably a couple of months later, we'll now check. So that's the power of the cloud. And what Microsoft has done with is provide that cloud, all the services around the cloud, which is your infrastructure as a service, your platform as a service, your software as a service. That whole thing is available to everybody to use to really maximize it. And what I see the big innovations coming, and I am hoping Africa will kind of lead the way, is blockchain. So blockchain on the cloud, where if you talk about things like NFTs, non-fungible token that you hear, all currently there's a lot of talk there, but when it matures, when NFTs mature, you could see a situation where somebody creates a digital asset and that digital asset follows you everywhere. So your fraud is going to be probably eliminated with NFTs because of that
Wow.
blockchain. You know precisely that you even sold this ticket to somebody, and the person can actually sell that product or whatever to someone else. And what the NFT technology and blockchain, which would sit on the Microsoft cloud and other clouds, but hopefully mostly Azure, is that you would create a new economy, completely new economy with NFTs, where you can track your product from selling it to Mr. A, have like a royalty on it, let's say 5% royalty on it. And that thing has now gone to Mr. X, but you're still
Wow.
making your royalty because
That's
for
really
every sale of that your product onto the next person, you make revenue, which is what NFTs are. So it's coming, and I see a huge innovation there. And I know people will innovate on the cloud, on the Microsoft cloud, to run these beautiful, wonderful blockchain technologies that are coming.
wow. That's another completely different angle you've come to it from, and I like the way you. I think they call it technology leapfrog, where people do not expect us to be at the forefront of some tech, and then we are using it beyond the other countries in the world. So Thank you for that. And the blockchain one, so many people still think like, uh, what are these things, and they don't yet know how greatly it will change their life in some years from now. I'm going to so welcome to Falabi and Kazim. Obviously, I'm still used to the school ways we call him. So, what we are just doing right now is, I know I've sent us the question, but so you can tell us your own experience of an innovative and highly productive way that a company is, or multiple companies are using the Microsoft Cloud. And so, two people have spoken. We have five more to go, and I'm not going to do much talking, so I'm not going to interrupt. Let's say I go with Uche right now. So Uche, uh, nice to hear from you, sir.
All right, and greetings everyone. Um, for me, there's been a lot of exposure I've gotten in the last 8 to 10 months consulting for global knowledge. I come to see how a lot of companies in the UK, in Europe, are making use of Microsoft technologies, and then we try to bring it back home to Nigeria or in Africa, and then we see how well we're doing as against the rest of the world. From the area of conditional access policy, I think Microsoft is doing a really amazing good job. All right, conditional access policy where you have a lot of control over who accesses your resources, from location to time zone to IP addressing and a lot of stuff. Especially now that many of us are still working from remote places from home, now you're pretty sure that your corporate resource is safe, and you have a proper record of who accesses it. There's a proper authentication and authorization, and this really has been the bane of most cyber crimes, which has led to the new passwordless authentication that is out now. People using the Windows Hello, Microsoft Authentication, all of these bound together with the conditional access policy puts you at one of the forefronts of security. And we also the latest Gartner report ranking Microsoft as a leader now. And it's really great, and we are making a lot of progress in consuming these security technologies. I tell people everyone has a plan until they get hacked. All right, yeah, and we've seen many companies now being open to adjusting to these Microsoft technologies. At the recent Ignite, a lot of people were there, just wanting to learn, see how they could take use of what they already have. This moves from infrastructure right into the software as a service, where automation is taking place and all the likes. In all of those beautiful services, without security involved, it's going to be a big flop, because you find the wrong people seeing the wrong table in your Power BI, seeing the wrong table in your Power Apps, accessing wrong data. So just the authentication and authorization section has really grown. Many companies have taken a cut of Microsoft's identity and access management framework. You see, just to ensure that they're on the right path. So, from the industry application, I have been part of ESI, Enterprise Skills, usually for Microsoft for the last 6 months. So, I've been involved with many people all over the world, and I'm seeing people really wanting to know more of what Microsoft is offering from the security perspective on Azure, and how to take use of the huge features in Azure AD. I tell people Azure AD is your AD on steroids, you know, and coming on and bringing it down home to the SaaS, your applications, your functions, everything running. It's been exciting, and there's still room for growth, because everybody's environment is different. People having hybrid setup, some fully cloud, and for each environment, they have something very unique, and stuff like that. So I'll just give it a pause there. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for that. Also, interesting dimension to it, the security side, how cloud also makes it easy for you to mitigate most of the backdoors people, or should I say, close the backdoors people exploit, hackers, scammers exploit to wreak havoc. So yes, that's a very nice angle to it. I'm going to move to another special person, Ahmed Oyelowo. So over to you, sir. We would like to hear.
All right, so thanks, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone, wherever currently watching us from. I wanted to say that Uche should probably go last before now. So I had two candidates to go last. That's Uche and Zim, right? So, but now that we have heard from Uche, probably can go last. maybe still have Uche to come back to build up some interesting stuff. So for me, I think I would probably like to just paint a scenario, how the Microsoft Cloud technology is really helping in today's world, where we find ourselves today, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. It almost seems like maybe the preparation that Microsoft have had prior to now, really investing a lot in this cloud tech to really came in handy at the right time, right? So when the world really went to a lockdown, that basically spiraled into a lot of remote opportunities for many people, right? Now, without these things in place, it wouldn't have been really easy to take up all of these remote opportunities. Gladly enough, Uche already spoke about security. Okay, so for example, now we in Nigeria now we have the ability to work, consulting companies around the world and be able to see how they leverage this Microsoft technologies to their advantage. Okay, so take for example now, let's say that you have a consulting firm in the UK, but you don't really need to have staff on ground in the UK. You can basically hire per project that you get. Okay, so you get a project, hire consultants to work on that project. Now, how do you now manage all of those processes? Okay, so for example, now you could have a virtual machine setup whereby your working file. So I'll probably basically just use a Power BI as an example. So basically need to develop Power BI desktop, right? So the Power BI desktop you currently work with now, it's possible that you have maybe quite a number of people that are working on that same file. Okay, so you could have developers working on it. You could have maybe senior guys that are going to have to, review what the developer has done and stuff like that. So you can basically have all of those things on Microsoft Virtual Machine line, so that anytime the developer needs to work, it's even possible that you have a developer from India, for example, who is completely, outside of your own time zone, right? So while the India guy is working, basically just needs to start virtual machine from the cloud and then works his own hours. Maybe during the day you want to do your own review, start the virtual machine, you also the same file. At the same time, it's even also possible as well that you also set up MFA, which is Microsoft two-factor authentication, just like Che rightly mentioned as well, so that whoever is also going into the virtual machine as well doesn't just have direct access like that. So before you could log into the VM, for example, you are going to get it on your phone for you to confirm that you're actually logging into the virtual machine. So all of this is also put security in place while also ensuring that you are able to remotely, while also beating down costs as much as possible. So another angle I'm also going to share about this is that in those in the Europe and in the US as well, is not really uncommon for you to see that developers, Power BI developers, have to a Power BI solution, and they really just have to deliver the Power BI desktop file, right? So it's not like maybe it's like an end-to-end solution whereby you deploy the Power BI then clouds. They have a lot of people that really just need the Power BI desktop file as well. Some actually work on Power BI desktop file. So in that instance as well, the consulting company also have a SharePoint whereby the secure way or the secured way for sharing the output with the client is always going to be through SharePoint. And this can always be in both ways, right? So, I'm using the example of consulting friend now. So it could be that the client will actually be the one to set up all of this infrastructure, and then provide access to the consulting team that at the same time it could also be you that is also the consultant that's going to set up all these things and provide visibility, work in progress and everything, clients. So I think that's what I would like to say about that for now. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to recap, while before I call up others, what everybody has said, Promise has mentioned about automation of routine tasks and some of those things that companies typically have to get people to do and pay them to do or have a lot of staff doing. Now they can have fewer staff and automate those things on the cloud. And David has mentioned, not just mentioned, has shown how what is very visible to us that sometimes we take for granted, how in the banking sector, our own banks are a lot ahead of many banks in other world in letting using cloud to make it easy for we the consumers to be able to even do transactions in a much more error-free way because that's what that achieves, and also maybe close to real time too, since our transfers are usually instant here compared with what exists in even some of the developed countries. And the power of blockchain, Uche mentioned security, how cloud allows us to now block some of those conventional ways that hackers and scammers try to gain some backend, some unauthorized access into our as a company now, your infrastructure or your users account using passwordless technology now, people and two-factor authentication, all these things powered by cloud. Companies are now no longer being on where their risk is reduced compared to before when they do not have these options. And then Ahmed has also hinted on the future of work, how we can be here, or as someone who is a tech person, I can be here and be working for companies, somewhere else in the world. And also for companies too, regardless of where they are, they can access talents that are not, right in their neighborhood or close to them. So people no longer worry about how far is your office from my house, and collaboration also too. So I'm going to move now to another special person, Adewale Yusuf. I like your dress. It's more African. It's like
I'm
you
just
went
trying
to
to
one
be a good Africa.
direction and then you went good. So let's hear from you, sir.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, everyone. So, to me, I think Microsoft.
I think he has a freeze.
I was about to
Yeah.
check whether it was my network. Okay, maybe
Yeah, I think
while we try and get him back, I can move on to Abisoye. So Abisoye, another powerful person in the house, is one of the. Is like the other version of Sheyi in terms of they are both special in their part. They know how to pull community and do a lot of miracles. So it's a pleasure that he was able to create time for us. So Abisoye, it would be nice to hear from you and your wealth of experience.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. I want to say that the Microsoft Cloud or cloud in general has really helped with the experience, user experience of various customers. I wouldn't want to go into security because I think other speakers have spoken about security. But I want to pick on user experience. Just as Dr. David Brown earlier mentioned around being able to do instant payments and all of that. I see that as user experience. Having great user experience these days would require you to leverage some cloud technologies one way or another. Is it single sign-on or is it allowing customers to be able to sign in into their product or service from any part of the world? Is it being able to track anonymous activities or thereabouts based on user activities or malicious activities that might be tracked from the Azure Security Center or thereabout, or any cloud service provision? I think companies that are building very nice, great user experience these days leverage cloud technologies, be it from post notification to seamlessly moving data all across the globe in less than 2 seconds or thereabout, ensuring data is redundant and all sorts of things. So it's quite interesting to see how cloud technology that is really being quite impactful in the space of user experience. So to have actually great user experience across board to any product or anybody listening who is deciding to build products or solutions that will scale across the globe or even scale within the African market or thereabout, you definitely need to leverage some cloud technologies one way or another. The other thing I also want to touch a bit is, excuse me, it's around working with people, access, um, granting people access to resources or things that is either role based or project based or based in whatever they're working on per time is something that is also quite interesting. Gone are the days whereby you definitely need to reach out to a number of people to decommission or remove a particular user from your tenant or thereabout. But right now, just with a click or even scheduling it ahead, or even saying once a particular resource has been deleted or thereabout, remove this particular users or things of that nature has really helped a lot. So I think we'll definitely see more and more of this, looking into blockchain or thereabouts, which is a space where I'm currently very invested in, and all of that. It's quite interesting to see what the future holds for cloud technologies and the likes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is another very exciting angle you've come to it from. It's true. Most of us do not even talk about these things from the customer side as experience. And the angle you brought to it it's kind of interesting. Because of time, I'm going to go straight to another of my big bosses, Mr. Kazim. So,
Hello.
Kazim,
Hello,
and
Mr.
Adewale, I'll come back to you. You froze. I'll let you do all over.
Looks like we have questions. Would you like to pick a question?
Yes, so I noted the question, so I would
Okay.
ask
All right.
after.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, depending on where people are watching us from right now. So I think people have touched on most of the areas, right? So I think I would just like to look at it from the angle of digital transformation. Um, we have many digital disruptions that are happening around the globe as a result of COVID, as a result of COVID-19. So this is forced, COVID-19 is forced every business is to change, especially the way they engage with their customers now. And how well they can also take advantage of the data that they have so that they can continue to function as a business. So I'll just talk about it from the business that I manage. I work at the Lasso CBT. Lasso CBT is a startup, for instance, and last year, because we didn't position ourselves well enough to be able to deal with the COVID situation, so it really affected us, as a business. But we've been able to take away, we've been able to learn some lessons from it, and now we've positioned the business such that we can function even if there's another round of COVID that happens to affect everybody. So we've been able to just position ourselves better. And I would also want to tie this to our use of Microsoft 365. So most of the business processes that we have now, so we've leveraged Microsoft 365 to automate some of the processes, and then how we can also attend to some of our customers. We have a lot of working customers, so people come to us to render, for us to be able to render some of our services to them. So we've tried now to see how best we can automate some of the services where we don't know, we no longer need to have those people come to us. Another one that I want to also quickly mention is cloud computing itself. The market, the general market for cloud computing. I was doing some analysis sometimes ago on a show that I anchor with another friend of mine, and we're able to see that the market is what about that's the African market now is what about $2 billion, right? So when we narrow it down, so we're looking at it that okay, Nigerian market will be holding on to about 500 million, of the market. So it would be nice to see that we have some local players, some local companies coming up with cloud-related services now, where they can plug into, some of these big player in the cloud space, like the Azure. Like we have some local companies already doing that, so they've been able to plug into Azure to render some of those services. So I think that is also key to see how much of this big money can also come to us, so that we can use that to scale our economy, to improve our economy. And David also mentioned the financial sector. So we're doing pretty well. South Africa, like he mentioned, is on top of things with regards to financial services. The fintech space is really big in Africa. When you look at solutions like M-Pesa, what the Flutter Waves guys are doing, I think M-Pesa is also cloud powered. Even transportation system in Nigeria, there's this new company, I think they are called Trips. So it's amazing, some of the things that people are leveraging, cloud to be able to deliver. But it would be nice that we have some local people also taking advantage of this. So that's my.
Thank you. So that's a very pertinent one. So, Mr. Dewale, back to you before they kick me out.
Yes. Sorry for the glitch in the
Yeah.
network. Okay, so just a quick recap of what everybody had said. Microsoft Cloud Services has been interesting, and also the COVID-19 gave a lot of organizations the opportunity to embrace the cloud services. I can remember sometimes when I enter a class, I will ask participants, which version of Excel are you using? I'm using 2013. The participant will be using 2016. But because they know that during the COVID-19 work from home, you may have to collaborate with your colleagues on a particular document, on a particular file. So they have to migrate to Office 365. And then also regarding reporting, a lot of people have been able to create automation. So talking about the Power Platform, well, I've seen a lot of automation we've done for clients where when you get a data from IT in your email, you don't need to open the email. You can create an automation from Power Automate that will take the data and put it in OneDrive or SharePoint for you. Then Dataflow take that data from there, supply it to Power BI, and just in 2 minutes, your report is ready. So people don't sit down again manipulating data and do all sort of stuff. So you can automate a lot of things with the Power Platform, even Power Apps. So for me, I think really most of our clients for the past 9 months have actually embraced the use of Power Platform, which they are not really using before. Most of them use Power Apps now to be able to automate most of their repeated tasks. And in fact, I know some people that the way they use Word, even ordinary Word, before COVID-19 is very, very, let me say, irritating. But if you did the way they use it now because of the cloud services, they use a lot of automations and all that. So all of us have mentioned something great. I won't like to talk
All
too
right.
much on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Michael, let's go with time. Our time is up, but I think
I
we should pick
noticed.
that question, right? There's one
Okay.
question I was asked about the 100%.
Yes, that's the only question I think so far has come in.
Yeah, if
Do
you can
you?
just look into that real quick, and we
Okay,
can
great.
go
So
for a
here's a
break.
question that is say the question is, will you suggest 100% cloud for a new startup? And how can we manage data recovery when faced with issue? That's exactly what the person said. Anybody wants to give it a shot? Will you suggest 100% cloud for a new startup? How can we manage data recovery
Yeah,
when?
I want to try that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So I would respond in two phases. Straight up answer would be yes, um, because as a startup, you depending on the phase you are at, you definitely want to run fast and all of that. So going all full cloud makes lots of sense. Also, depending on the industry you're in, if you're in financial industry or fintech or thereabout, there might be some scenarios that there about why you might not be allowed to use cloud. You might need to have your own things built, and depending on whatever service you're also offering as well. But yes, cloud all the way, anytime, any day.
Awesome, awesome.
I think I would
Thank you.
second that as well, because a lot of all of this borders around costing, and yes, I know there are fundings, there are seed offerings these days, but in terms of infrastructure, you really want to manage the cost. And funny enough, Azure has wonderful services that can help you reduce your cost and at the same time achieve maximum performance. So
Well, I
yeah,
have a different view.
100%.
I have a
Yeah.
very different,
Let,
conflicting view.
let's have one
Quickly.
more. Let's have one more from you, then we can go and break.
All right. So I have been with many folks who the question is, it's what does your industry say about the use of technology? For example, in the NHS in Europe, they have primarily some certain data that must sit on premise. For certain insurance companies, they have certain data that must sit on premise. Even so, for our financial companies in Nigeria. So if you're a startup, you need to find out what your industry regulation states first before you know how to kick off. So if you're coming in with into an unregulated industry, cloud first. If you're coming to an environment that is heavily regulated, that has a lot of stakes on what to do and what not to do, then I suggest you stick with what should be done. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everyone. So,
Thank you for
Benga,
joining
over
us.
to
Yeah,
you.
I'll take over now. We'll have to go on
Thank
a
you.
break. All right.
Thank
Thank you,
you all.
guys.
All
Bye.
right.
Everyone, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.